I'll start with an analogy, one I've done over and over and over again. I've asked people where you have just 5 seconds. I'm going to show you an envelope, a gold envelope. It looks like one that would most likely be at a wedding party, one that would sit perfectly on the table in a boardroom. And it looks like it has something inside. It might be heavy. I'll hold it for it to look like it's heavy. And then on the other hand, I would have a crumbled piece of paper. It looks really funny. Like I picked it out from underneath my bag. Like I'd left it there for days. And I will ask you to choose. You have only 5 seconds. Over and over and over, everybody will go for the gold envelope. Look at the way you described it. Shiny, valuable. However, this is something I have been doing over and over again all of these years, not asking what the content is. By the time you open the gold envelope, there is nothing in it. Empty sheet of paper, neatly put in there, and a very tiny box with nothing inside. However, my crumpled piece of paper probably has my handwritten on it with, oh, I'm going to give you 100,000 naira for choosing this one. And over the years, I have made this same mistake, where I'll choose the shiny things. And if I asked you, I'm very sure you would have picked the shiny one. Because you didn't even ask what the content of these two things were. But the one that looked more presentable would definitely be the one that you would go for. While I'm not here to judge any of you, because yes, I have done that, I'm here to tell you how that was my story. Over the years, I did so many things. In fact, I have 2 degrees in food science. I currently work as a marketing professional, and I own a personal finance company. These are things that cannot coexist in the same room. Because I was asking myself, how do I tell people that, oh, I went for the 1st degree in food science, I went for the 2nd one in food science, and somehow along the way, marketing came into the mix. And I started doing marketing in tech companies, health tech, and I was striving. But then there was an underlying obsession that I had with money. This obsession made me to want to understand why some people had money and others did not. This obsession made sure that I started to ask questions and help people to understand how you as a person can do better with your finances. Meaning that you don't have to wait until you have the wealth of knowledge or wealth of resources to start your investing journey. This was what made me start Your Personal Finance Girl. And when people would ask me, what do I do? On most days, depending on the setting, that would determine whether I would answer you. Because if it was in a boardroom, like a meeting, I'll tell you I'm a marketing professional. And I will speak with all of the eloquence. I'm talking about all of the jargons. And if you meet me on other days where I'm bubbly and active, I'll tell you I can help you make your money get better. Like you can literally start your journey, your journey to financial freedom without any hustle right here where you are. And I began to ask myself, why exactly do I have to box myself in? Now let's talk about the economics of what this is. Because I'm a marketing professional, I love data. And there's something we call intangible assets in the world of finance. An intangible asset is something that has value. You can't see it, you can't touch it. However, this particular set of assets are the one that would ensure that the company values stay up. For example, Apple's asset is the brand. The trust of the subscribers of Netflix is yet another intangible asset. And what your intangible asset is, as a person, is who you are. You need to know yourself. What makes you you? How exactly do you come into the room and I can differentiate that you're not person B, but you're person A? That is the intangible asset. And then, when we think think about all of this, bringing all of this together, you would hear things like, but how exactly were you able to merge all of these three versions of yourself? The moment that I decided to stop trying to differentiate who I was from all of the different versions of me, I began to thrive. And this ability to thrive now came to the point where I had over 70,000 people who would listen to me, who would follow, who would read, who would respond, simply because I was now making use of my intangible asset. So I want to ask you, what is that intangible asset that you have? Because that is what is going to make you authentic. Now let's talk about authenticity. There is the Eldman Trust Board, which is the statistics the global statistics that we go to when we want to check on why people patronize certain brands. If I ask you today, why exactly are you using the particular gadgets that you're using? Why didn't you go for version B or version Z of another brand? People would come year and year after saying that they are patronizing this product, or what they love about this product is the fact that they are authentic. They have their own voice, they have their own style, and they can be differentiated. And this is where I need you to take another moment to think. What is that thing that is going to differentiate me from every other person in the room? And that simple answer, or that simple thing, is authenticity. And there's something called your authenticity premium. Or, let me use another example. Say you were a finance person. There's something we call the market premium. This is the only reason why a particular investor will go ahead to pay a higher price, higher than what is in the market, simply because that particular asset is more transparent, it has been consistent, and it has proven time and time again to be what it is. Half the time, if you decide that you want to go into business or you want to go into a particular line of work, you would want to be sure that whatever you are doing is in line or is as clear as day. Say you want to invest in a particular company. You're not going to go and invest in that company because the balance sheet of the company looks really beautiful, because it is authentically pleasing or aesthetically pleasing. You're going to go ahead and invest in that particular company because the balance sheet says that it is the right thing to do at that point in time. You're not going after something that has been adjusted or readjusted. You're going because you see the value. And this is what your market premium is. And this is where we now come back to you being authentic. A lot of times, we'll look at our LinkedIn bio, our social media profile picture, what we write about ourselves. All of those things have been perfectly curated. How you want people to see you. Not who you are, but exactly what you want the world to see. Have you asked yourself to say, why exactly do I follow the celebrities that I follow? Why exactly do I like some particular brands and not some others? Why exactly am I trying to have the most perfect persona online? Have you thought about it? Many a times, we curate so much that we forget about the thing that means the most to us, which is you being you. Being authentic. I can say for a fact that I definitely won't be on this stage today talking to you if I wasn't authentic. I would say for free that I definitely would not be able to share my story if I did not take the science or the knowledge I got from food science and all of the rigorous work I've done in marketing and put into my personal finance company. I definitely wouldn't have had 70,000 people who would want to listen. Or let's even use like the common example. I most likely wouldn't have been over 150 stages if I decided to be somebody else. So now let's talk about, let me share with you 3 different pillars that will make you authentically you. And I'm going to relate that with finance as well and marketing. And I'm going to start with 1, self-knowledge as your principal. Typically, before you go ahead and say, oh, you want to invest, you need to understand what the base amount you're going to be using is. Pretty much the money that you're going to have to earn interest on, either as a form of investing, either as a form of saving. You need to know what that principal is. And if you decide that you want to go ahead to invest without knowing the principal, it means that there's no way for you to calculate the interest. You would never be able to calculate the interest. Everything that you would know will most likely be a lie, because you keep on trying to calculate with someone else's capital, which is not yours. So this means that in all that you do, for you to be able to know the currency that you own, for you to be able to be yourself and make the most out of it, you need to know your principal. I mean, what makes you you? What are the things that you hide from the world that you don't want anybody to know about? What are those particular interests that you feel like if you tell somebody, they'll look at you with a side eye? Those are the things that make you unique. So unique that it can never be replicated. So unique that nobody can be you. And if you're able to find out all of those things about yourself, what then happens is you have a solid foundation, one that can now be built upon, one that can now give you the desired interest that you want. The next thing you want to do, which is number 2, you need to have consistency. And in this case, we're going to be using consistency as our compound interest. So like I said, we need to know what our principal is, so that by the time we want to calculate our interest, we know what is being built upon. But then again, there should be consistency. Consistency in how you show up in rooms. Consistency in how you describe yourself and how you present yourself to the world. Not trying to be the perfect medical doctor or the perfect health professional. Consistency in being you. And if you are consistent, what happens is that you are able to build reputational capital. Meaning that I can confidently say that I know this person. This person has done this over and over the years. However, because we're using compound interest in consistency, on day 1, you would not see any results. On day 2, you are definitely not going to see any results. On day 5, I can bet you would not see any results. But look down the line, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. We have living examples in the room. You begin to see the result of being consistent. And what does compound interest mean? Because compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Compound interest means that the interest that you earn is earning more interest on the interest. Let me use numbers. If perhaps you have 10% per annum on 100 naira, the first year you're going to get 10 naira. If you leave that particular money to compound, by the second year, you're not getting 10 naira. You are getting 11 naira. Meaning that your money that should have been 110 naira has now grown to 120 naira. But if you decided to take out the compound interest by going ahead to go and start another new thing, oh, it's not working, let me be like this person, oh no, this is my new role model, you begin to cut yourself in the foot over and over again by starting again. And now, number 3, which is the third principle, is impact as dividend. In the world of investing, dividend is that thing that would ensure that, or rather, dividend is that income that you earn when you invest. Meaning that the companies look at those of all of their shareholders and they're like, for you to trust us, we're going to give you some money that you did not work for. That is dividend. And this is how you want to live your life, ensuring that you have impact. Impact is going to allow you to get results that cannot be measured. So one of the things that people think that is my greatest joy in doing the work that I do is that they'll think that it's because I can now boast of $100 million in group savings. But no. What I boast about from the work that I've done over the last 7 years is that people come to me and tell me, I finally started investing because I followed your page. Oh, I finally understand, or I finally hit this particular goal I've been trying to hit over the years. Or, my mom is now proud of me because she sees I'm a better manager of money. That is impact. And in everything that you do as a person, you can make impact. And just in case you're thinking, oh, the only thing that you have is money, and that is what you're going to use, there's a very high probability that you're going to be the poorest person ever. Because money is not the most important thing, but how you are able to impact people's life, change the way they think, influence their decisions to be better versions of themselves. Before I get off the stage, I'd like to say one more thing. I know that I've talked about authenticity, telling you how you need to understand what your principle is. You need to understand that consistency would give you the compound interest effect as a person. And you want to be sure that there is impact in whatever you're doing, because that is the dividend you get from doing the work that you do. A lot of us still shrink ourselves. The same thing that I did year on year until I realized that I wasn't doing myself any good. Until I realized that I was trying to use someone else's principle as mine. I want you to look at yourself. Look within yourself. And look at that thing that you think is not worthy of being shared. And think about that thing that you think is or should be hidden from the world. There's a very high probability that that is your superpower. Think about it, write it down, take note of it. What is that thing that you do not want people to know? What is that thing that makes you you? What is that thing that if someone hears about it would think that, oh my word, how can you do such a thing? Or how are you able to do such a thing? Or what you think is not socially or a standard. And I want you to go ahead and have a conversation with one person about that thing that you have been hiding. It could be your friend, your mentor, your sibling. I'm not telling you to go and do a LinkedIn post or another social media curated stuff. I'm telling you that you should go and have a conversation. And the reason why I'm telling you to have this conversation is because by the time you're able to voice out that I have this particular skill, I'm able to do this particular thing, what then happens is that you are letting it out and it becomes part of you. You're no longer scared about whether or not somebody is going to approve it. And then you can begin to work on it. Mind you, I'm not telling you that you should go ahead and go and revamp your whole life and start all over again. I'm just telling you to look inward and look at the things that could be doing you more good that you are allowing, in quotes, what will people think, to hold you down. The currency of you cannot and will not be ever printed by any central bank of the world because it is authentic to you. And authenticity is the only differentiator in this world. There is no to you. So why are you trying to unauthentic yourself when you should own who you are and build a life that you want for yourself? In all of this, I'm leaving you with this. Be the authentic you that you want to be, that you should be, and that you will be. And in the next couple of months, years, you'll be glad that you did. Thank you.